Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a glass of whiskey like this in Cinema 4D. First of all, you want to grab a cylinder, change the radius to 8 and the height to 15. Zoom in, go to caps, enable fillet, change the segments to 10 and the radius to 2. Right click and go current state to object and delete the original cylinder. So this is going to be our glass. So go to face selection, go to the U menu and press L to select the loop, and then select the top one here and press delete. Go to select another loop, go to the U menu again and press W to select connected faces, and then press delete again. Cool. Now what we want to do is we want to select all the faces, go to the M menu and press T to extrude, go apply. So that's way too much, so change the offset to 0.25. Nice. Now we want to enable create caps so that we have these interfaces here. Cool, so if you middle click and go to orthographic view, you'll notice that the inner faces here on the bottom are a little bit too close to the bottom, and we just want to move that up. So middle click again, and we want to go to the U menu again, press L to grab a loop, go to the U menu again and press Y to grow the selection. So UI, 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 until you've selected all those edges. Middle click, go to the orthographic view, and what we're going to do is we want to enable the move tool and enable the axis tool here. So let's turn on snap and make sure vertex snap is on, and let's just move that all the way down to the bottom face here, so that one. Turn off the axis tool, and let's just move that up so that it's in line with our outer edge here. Cool. Also, we just want to move the entire cup upwards a little bit, so enable axis again, move it all the way down to the bottom, like so, and then turn that off. And under our snap tools, just enable work plane snap, and then grid point snap. So let's move that up so that's sitting on the grid. Cool. Now under display, I'm just going to change it to show the lines. Let's go to the edge selection and go to the U menu and, let's go to M menu and press L so we can insert some loops. So with shift selected, I'm going to put one there and on the inside, and put one about here and here. Go to U menu and press L to select. Sorry, I just want to exit that. U menu and press L to select that edge and then that edge, and then go to scale tool and just scale down to 0 on the y-axis. Oh, that's not working because we have our snap on our axis on. So let's just go to scale 0 on the y-axis so that these edge loops are the same height, and then just move that down to something like that. So we want to create a little lip here, like most glasses have. And let's go to the M menu and press L again, put an edge loop there, put an edge loop there, and then up the top. So let's go to the move tool. Let's select the top edge and then go to the move tool, and then just move that up a tiny bit, like so. And then we want to move these inner ones here, so UL to select that edge and then scale. Let's just scale it in a tiny bit. UL, select that edge loop, scale tool, and then scale out a tiny bit. Cool, that should work. Now what we want to do is grab a subdivision surface, put our cylinder in there, and we have a nice little cup or a glass. And then select that and go Alt G to group and call that glass. Nice. Now remember to save. Cool, so now we want to actually create some geometry for our whiskey. So let's expand the glass and copy our cylinder and then turn off the visibility of the glass. Now with the face tool selected, let's go to the U menu and press Alt and select the loop here, and then press delete. Select anything on the outside and go to the U menu and press W again to select connected faces, and then press delete. And then delete this one here. Cool. Now let's go to the edge tool. Select these top ones and go to the M menu and press T to extrude and go apply. Now let's change the edge angle to 90 degrees. Cool. And then let's go to the scale tool, and we just want to scale that down to 0 so that they're all in the same place. And then go to the object, go to the U menu and go optimize, or press O for optimize. Cool. Now let's go to the edge tool, go to the M menu and press L to add some loops. And so we're going to create a little lip on the edge, just like liquid usually behaves in glasses. So just put a loop here and a loop here for measure, and put one really close up there, up here, then add 2 right here. So this middle one, we just want to move that up a little bit. So we want to select that loop, select the move tool, and then just move that up a very tiny bit, just so that our liquid kind of bunches up at the edge. Let's grab a subdivision surface, put the cylinder in there. Cool. That works. And now let's group that and call it Whisky. Nice. Now what we want to do, we'll turn that off and let's start working on the ice cubes. So let's grab a cube, change the size to 3 on each axis, and then change the segments to 5. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is grab a spherify. We want it to seem like it's melting. So fit the parent and change the strength to 30. We want to add some displacement, so let's add a displacer. And shading, add some noise. Change the global scale to something like 50. And then under object, we want to change the height to maybe 1. Cool. And then we want to grab a taper. So we want to use the taper as if it's been sitting in like an ice tray. So let's change the strength to something like -20, so the top tapers and the curvature to 0. Cool, that works. Now let's grab a subdivision surface, put the cube in there, and that looks like an ice cube. And I just want to add a little bit more displacement there, so grab a displacer, put that underneath the cube, like so. Go to shading, add a noise, and under global scale we want to change that to something really small, maybe 10%. And under object we want to change the height to 0.05, so it's really subtle. Cool, that works. Now let's just turn off the visibility of our spherify and our taper. And we got an ice cube. Remember to save again. So we actually want to create another version of the ice cube, so we have some variation. But before we do that, let's group it and call it ice cube 01. And then duplicate it, change it to ice cube 02. Then under our displacer, under the cube, go to the noise, and then just change the seed value to something random that looks like an ice cube. So let's turn the visibility of our other one off. That looks good to me. Awesome. So we've got ice cube 1, ice cube 2. And now let's go to the MoGraph and grab a cloner. Put both ice cubes in there. And then let's go to the object tab, and then let's go to grid. Change the count to maybe 4, 1, keep that at 3, and change the size to maybe 8, 0, 8. So we've got a bunch of ice cubes just packed like that, and then let's grab the cloner so we can have some randomization on the scale. Let's grab a random effector, go to parameter, turn the position off and enable the scale, go to uniform scale and go to 0.25 for the scale randomization. Nice, that works. And let's just group the random in the cloner and call it ice cubes. So the way that we're going to get these ice cubes to fit nicely inside our glass is by using some dynamics. So let's move that up maybe by 5. Turn our Whisky, and under the display menu just enable lines so that we can see what's going on. Cool. So with our cloner selected, we want to right click, go to the simulation tags and go rigid body. And we want this tag to affect all the children of the cloner. So under the inherit tag option, change it to apply to children, and individual elements go to all. Cool, and then under shape, change that to convex hull. And then if we expand our glass group here, right click the cylinder, go to simulation tags again and go collider body. And then under shape, change it from automatic to static mesh. That way it's just going to be using the mesh of our cylinder to collide to. Nice. So if we've done that correctly, go back to the first frame and press play, and the cubes should settle nicely. Cool. Now the only problem is we have a little bit of space in between the cubes and the edge here. So we can fix that by selecting our cylinders collider body, and then under the collision tab, select the use checkbox and change the margin to 0.3. That should work. Nice. That works well. Now I think we actually have a little bit too much Whisky in our glass. So I'm going to expand the Whisky group here, select the cylinder, and with the top point selected, like so, I'm just going to go to our orthographic view and move it down a bit. So I think something like that is a little bit better. And yeah, I'll keep that like that. Also, with our Whisky object, if we go back to object mode, I just want to move the axis up to the top here. So I'm going to turn on snap. Just move it to here, like so. And we actually want to scale this down a little bit because at rendering, that can cause some problems if we have edges intersecting at the edges here. So we're just going to go 0.999 for the size, 0.999, 0.999. So that way we won't have any errors while rendering. Now let's go back to the beginning and press play again to see what our ice cubes do. Cool. Now the problem is the ice cubes need to float, and they're just chilling underneath the surface here. So the way that we can fix that is just by increasing the scale. So let's go on, select the cloner and change the scale to 1.1 on all axes. Sorry, that's the wrong tab. I want to do that on the transform tab. So 1.1, 1.1, 1.1, and press play. That's a little bit better, but we've still got these ice cubes below the surface. So what I'm going to do is select the cloner, go to object, and then add some more clones. Press play. That's a bit better. And I'm just going to go to my randomizer and just randomize the seed. until I get something that I like. So you can spend some time playing around if you want to until you find something you really like. So I just spent some time playing around with the seed value and pressing play until I found a resting position for my ice cubes that seems to look good. And once you've found a position that you like, what you can do is you select the dynamics tag here on the cloner, and then if you go to the dynamics tab here, just set initial state, and then that way if you go back to frame 0, your cubes are going to start in that position like so. Nice. Now all there's left to do is start rendering it. So remember to save, and we'll start making it look pretty. So first of all, let's grab a sky object, create a new material, put that on our sky, open the material up, rename it to sky, disable all channels except for the luminance, and let's grab a texture. So I'll be linking this in the description so that you can use it as well. And under the editor option, I'm just going to change the texture preview size to no scaling. And then under display, I'm just going to change the display so we can actually see our HDRI here. Cool. Let's grab a camera and set that up. And let's also grab a plane for our table. So change the width to 300 and the height to 150. Let's just move our camera around until you find something you like. So I'm just going to do something really simple. Just a straightforward framing here. Yeah, that's fine. And then right click our camera, go Cinema 4D tags and add a protection tag so that we can't move our camera at all. Group our plane here, call it table, like so. And yeah, so let's start rendering. But first, let's just save a new version. So we want to set up our render settings, so open them up, change the render type to physical, change the output to 1920 by 1080. Don't need to save right now. Change the anti-aliasing to Mitchell or Michelle. Under options, we want to disable default light. Under physical, we want to change our sampler type to progressive, and then under effects, we want to add some global illumination and use the exterior preview option. Cool, let's give that a test render. And I'm just gonna dock my picture viewer over to the left here, just so that we can see our scene and our renders at the same time. Nice, I'm just gonna save a new version. So we want to start off with our table material here. So let's create a new PBR material and put that on our table. Open that up and rename the material to table. So under our reflectance channel, we have this default diffuse layer here. Let's put a texture in under the layer color. So I'll be linking this wood texture in the description so that you can use it as well. So open that up. And under default reflection, go to the roughness section here and change that to 65%. Under specular strength, you want to change that to 20. And under layer for now, I know it's not oil vegetable, but I think that worked pretty well for this table. So change the for now to oil vegetable. And then under texture here, we want to grab the same wood texture for the roughness. Then we also want to grab a layer effect here. So now our wood texture is in there, but we don't need the color for our wood and the roughness. So I'm going to grab a hue saturation lightness effect and turn it down to -100. But we want to add some contrast, so we'll turn the contrast up to 100. Cool, and then I think we'll add some noise on top. So let's grab some noise, open that up, change the noise type to turbulence, change the space to object, change the global scale to 50, and then change on the relative scale, change that to 200. And the high clip, change that down to 50%. So let's open that up again. And let's just change the blending mode to multiply on that noise. And I think we still need a little bit of correction here. So add a brightness contrast. Just maybe move the brightness down to -10 and the contrast maybe 15. Cool. So if we have a look at that, that looks pretty good here on this little preview. And let's give that a render test. Cool. That looks pretty good. I think I just want to add some randomization into the normals. So let's open up the table material again, enable the normal channel here, and then let's grab the same wood texture. And then we want to go to fix and go normalizer. So that turns our texture into a normal map. Let's change the strength to 250. But I just want to get rid of the saturation in our texture. So grab a layer there. And under fix, go hue saturation lightness and change the saturation to -100. Cool. Now let's give that another test render. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with the table material. So next we can start working on the glass. So grab a new PBR material, put on the glass like so, and open that up. Now just disable reflectance for now and enable transparency. Under refraction presets, let's grab the glass. And then under texture, let's grab some noise. So we don't want the transparency to be perfect. So we need to add some realism by just adding some slight imperfections to the transparency. So change the noise type to turbulence. And under the global scale, change that down to 25. And then under relative scale, we want to stretch it up on the y-axis by 300. And then under high clip, we want to change that down to 50%. Go out of that, and then you don't want it to be over the top, so change the mix strength to 25. Cool. Now let's enable the reflectance. And we want to actually keep some diffuse in there. So let's turn that completely white. It's not going to look good in the texture preview once it renders, but we actually need that there. And so under roughness, we want to increase that to 50, and specular strength, let's change it down to 20. And then under layout for now, change the preset to glass, like so. And then we want to go back to the transparency, copy this noise, and then go back to the reflectance, and then under the default reflection, under the roughness, let's paste that noise here. And then we just want to invert these colors like so. So the texture preview looks pretty nasty. Also, let's rename this to glass, like so. But it will render nicely, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So let's give that a test render. Nice, so our glass is looking pretty good, but we have a little problem with intersections down here, so we just need to move our table plane down by -0.001, and that should fix that problem for us. So now let's work on our Whisky material. So grab a new PBR material, put it on the Whisky, open that up, rename it to Whisky, like so, and then enable transparency and just disable reflectance for now, and change the absorption color to 38, 5, 100. So that worked for me last time, and just change absorption distance to 0.7. And then under the refraction preset, let's grab Whisky. Fortunately, Cinema 4D was nice enough to provide that for us. So now let's enable reflectance, turn off default diffuse, and under default reflection, let's turn the roughness down to 1, specular strength to 20. And then under layer for now, we want to change it to Whisky again, like so. So let's give that a test render. So it's not really looking like Whisky at this stage, and that's because our ice hasn't been completed yet. So not to worry. One thing before I start working on the ice, if you select the texture tag here for the table, just increase the tiles on the U direction. And I think that's just going to improve our table material here a little bit. Cool, so let's create a new PBR material and put that on the ice cubes. So open that up and rename it to ice. Cool, now disable default diffuse, and this is just going to be real simple material here. So turn the roughness down to 1%, change the specular strength to 25, and then on the layer for now, change from milk to water ice. Cool, and then enable the transparency. Under refraction preset, grab water ice, and that's that. So give that another test render. Awesome, so it's definitely looking a lot more like Whisky now, and the ice is rendering nicely, and the table is definitely looking better than it was before if you have a look at the old and the new one. Yeah, so now I'm just going to do one more final render, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some depth of field. So if you go to your camera and go to the physical tab, you just need to enable this movie camera checkbox. And once you've done that, go back to the object tab, and then there's this focus distance little option here. So if you select this mouse here and then just select your glass, I'm going to select it about there. It's going to set the focal distance or the focus distance. And so if you go to the settings and then under physical, just enable depth of field like so. And then if you do a render, it's going to have depth of field in it. And there we go. If you compare the last render to the latest one, you can really see how the depth of field adds that extra element of realism. And that concludes the end of this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed this and that you've learned something new. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. And please remember to like and subscribe. Every like and subscribe really helps me out as a small YouTube channel, and I really appreciate it. There's heaps more tutorials coming soon, so I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.